All right, so we're out here on the water today, and before the new Curado 150M goes into battle versus the ferocious 150 MGL, I'm going to cast it around and I guess sort of break the reel in and get myself acquainted with the casting abilities of the new reel. Now, once again, this reel was sent to me courtesy of the awesome guys over at Lake Pro Tackle. All their information will be pinned at the top of the comment section to their YouTube, as well as a link to where you can get your new Curado 150M. And let's start casting. All right, so I paired up the new 150M on the, I guess, cheap AliExpress Mojo Bass 6'6". I would consider it a medium light bait casting rod. Got my usual 10-pound monofilament. And we're only going to cast one lure today. That's going to be the Berkley Chapo, I believe it's the 90, which comes in, it says at 1/2 of an ounce. So a typical weight bass lure. Of course, that means we're going to have to set this reel up. All right, so straight out of the box, there's quite a bit of side-to-side play. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to eliminate it. And I want the side-to-side play barely gone, meaning you don't want to tighten it too much. In fact, you may even want to leave just a little bit. All right, now, if you watch the unboxing video, this reel came with 3 brakes on from the factory and 3 brakes off, and the external dial is set to 4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to crank it up to 6. And while my particular reel, the external dial is super stiff, might need to loosen up the screw, but let's start casting. All right, guys, so I didn't do a lot of talking during those casts because there was some guy launching his boat, but hopefully you guys can see that on this particular brake setting, I would say the maximum distance we were getting with a nice overhead cast, like that one, is probably approaching 40 yards. And in this brake setting, which is about halfway, we are getting 0 spool control issues. No line fluffing, no nothing. Let's do a couple more. Now, I don't know how much farther this Berkley Chapo is gonna cast because it's got that propeller section of its body that's gonna catch wind. But what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go inside and I'm gonna turn one of these 3 activated brake arms off. So now we have 2 brakes on, 4 brakes off. The fine-tuning dial still set to 6, and I have a feeling that we're probably gonna see some overruns, but let's find out. All right, no overrun. That's kind of surprising. Distance went up probably about, I don't know, 5 foot. Nothing too significant. Boom, there we go. I did a nice line drive cast, had the perfect wrist snap at the end, and we probably went about 45 yards on that cast. Noticeable increase in distance. So that demonstrates the power of turning off one brake arm with the Shimano SVS Infinity system. On the longest cast, you can expect about a 10 to 15 foot increase. All right, we'll do one more. And then I'm gonna try to turn one more brake arm off. All right, so turn one brake arm off. So that means one brake arm on, 5 brake arms off. Fine tuning is still set to 6. And let's see what happens. Now I'm gonna start off with just an easy sidearm cast. Oh, wow. Shockingly, with this monofilament line, we're able to cast with one brake arm on only. Now that's something not too many Shimanos can do, at least without using braid. All right, let's put some more effort into the cast. Holy crap. Now that was a 50-yard cast right there. 50 yards, kind of a 80% sidearm cast. And the power of the MGL spool is showing itself. And that is super long distances with minimal effort. All right, let's do an overhead cast. Whoa. Okay, that might have been the longest cast yet, but hopefully you guys saw there was a significant amount of fluffing and overrun during the middle of the cast, but the cast was so long that it worked itself out. Now I'm trying to remember my experience with the old 150 MGL, and I think it was pretty similar. I know that reel can absolutely bomb. The only thing that could come close to it was Shimano's own JDM SLX DCXT, but that reel had limited line capacity. All right, let's do a few more. Boom. So because I'm getting all this line overrun in the middle of the cast, that means I'm not gonna touch the fine tuning dial. I'm not gonna lower it any. But here's the thing for all you guys who are gonna get this reel, if you run braid, you could probably add, what, another 10, 15 foot to these casts. And that's because you can go even lower on the fine tuning. Boom, look at that. Now on the sidearm cast, the overruns seem to disappear. Of course, cranking in this Berkeley Chapo, we're talking rigid, buttery smoothness thanks to the micro gears and Shimano's X ship. But yeah, I can confidently say, boom, that this new 150M should be at least a match for the old 150 MGL. Now this is just casting. We're gonna get into pitching and skipping in another video. Pow. Ain't no DAIWA TATULA doing that. Boom. So I think the line is finally settling in, because the more casts I do overhead, the less overrun I get. All right, now the big question is getting the new M going to be an upgrade over the old MGL? And that's a good question. The old MGL was such a monster that honestly it was going to be hard to improve on that reel without making super drastic changes. And of course, if you watch the unboxing video, the only real major change that occurred with this new M is the addition of the MGL3 spool. But for some reason, with this particular MGL spool on the 150M, Shimano left the spool dimensions the same, when they normally make the MGL3 spools narrower. All right, we'll do a few more. And that was kind of a cast on the shorter side, still approaching 50 yards. But yeah, I mean, I don't see anything coming that is gonna change the hierarchy at the $200-ish price point. Now, of course, I haven't tried anything from GARCIA or LEWS. I do have the TATULA 80 as well as the TATULA SV 100 with the boost spool. Man, look at that, just easy distance. But yeah, I have both TATULAs that are around the $200 price point. And of course, it's hard to judge unless you're casting them side by side. I will say that the TATULA Boost, when I did do the casting video on that off camera, some of the casts that it was doing were pretty damn impressive. Pow! This is why fishing Shimanos are so fun. Whether they have the SPS Infinity brakes or even the DC brakes, you just get that free casting spool experience. You don't get that choked off parachute at the tail end feel that you get with a lot of the magnetic brake reels, particularly with the DAIWAs. Pow! That has got to be the longest cast yet. Whew. It's going to take a while to reel all this line back in, but there we go, fellas. Just a quick casting impressions video of the new Curado 150M. And once again, pick yours up at Lake Pro Tackle. Gonna leave a link pinned at the top of the comments. Gonna take you right to their shop, to this reel, and just shop around. I was perusing their site and they have a bunch of stuff, pretty much everything everyone else has, as well as a lot of JDM tackle. So the next time you see this 150M, we're going to be doing a cast battle up against the old 150 MGL. And hopefully this new M is not going to prove me a liar when I say that it should outcast the old reel in most situations. All right, guys, thanks a lot.